Then came the night Naomi debated her opponent, Congressman Theodore Harlan III, a man so bland he made unsalted rice seem excited. The debate was televised nationally, and Naomi walked in wearing a blood-red pantsuit, her afro out in full glory and a kind of calm that scared insecure men. The moderator asked the usual: healthcare, education, immigration. Naomi delivered answers with the cadence of a preacher and the punch of a poet. But when Harlan accused her of hating the American dream, she didn't flinch. "Sir," she began, voice steady, eyes still. "I don't hate the American dream. I just refuse to let it remain a gated community for the privileged. I want to bulldoze that fence and invite everyone in, even if they tracked in mud." The room fell silent, then erupted. Twitter broke. Even people who once dismissed her started paying attention. But so did someone else, someone Naomi had forgotten. She had disappeared beyond repair. That someone was her estranged younger sister, Sasha, a brilliant trouble soul who once believed in Naomi more than anyone else. As children, Sasha would sneak into Naomi's room and pretend to be her secretary, taking White House calls on a plastic phones. But life wasn't kind to Sasha. She fell into addiction during her teenage years, got lost in foster care when their mother passed, and blamed Naomi for not fighting harder to keep her close. The last time she spoke was 6 years ago. Sasha was homeless and furious. Naomi was exhausted and overwhelmed, and words were exchanged that cracked their bond like cheap glass. Now, out of nowhere, Sasha sent Naomi a letter. No return address, just the word: "If you become president without ever saying my name, I will hunt you alive." Naomi read it 5 times, cried once, then tucked it into her campaign binder like a cursed bookmark. Naomi had grown so used to public chaos that private pain hit harder. Her staff began noticing her silences, the way she stared at walls during meetings or flinched at phone vibration. Still, she pushed forward. She visited schools, listened to single fathers talk about custody hell, stood on factory floors, and promised to fight for better wages. She hugged grieving mothers, kissed crying babies, danced awkwardly at church rallies, and somehow managed to still write her own speeches at 3 a.m. But beneath her polished poise, something was unraveling: a whisper of burnout, a ghost of imposter syndrome, the fear that all her effort was just a grand performance in a play where the ending had already been written. One night, after another rally, she looked in the mirror and whispered, "Do I still want this? Or am I just scared of who I do be without?" The mirror didn't answer, but her reflection looked tired, human. And then the scandal hit. Not about Naomi, but her campaign treasurer, who turned out to be running a secret OnlyFans account using campaign funds for hotel stays. The media pounced. Washington's Wide West. "Who's really managing the money?" screamed the headlines. Naomi was blindsided. The treasurer, a former accountant with a quitty side hustle, tearfully resigned, but the damage was done. Voters began to question Naomi's judgment. Opponents resurfaced old doubt. Donors pulled back. Her team splintered. Protests erupted. A tomato was thrown at her during a press conference, and it missed. But her pride wasn't so lucky. She stood there, tomato guts on her pantsuit, blinking back fury, before saying into the microphone, "Next time, aim for the policies. At least those are real." The crowd didn't laugh, but they listened. They left that stage without knowing something had to change fast. In her lowest moment, Naomi returned to the one place she knew had dared revisit in years: her childhood neighborhood. The corner store was gone. So was Mr. Rosary's barbershop. But the old bench outside the apartment still there. She sat on it, legs crossed, watching a group of kids argue over who got to be president in their sidewalk chalk game. One little girl, with pigtails and oversized glasses, shouted, "I'm Naomi Washington, and I will make sure everyone gets free lunch forever." Naomi laughed so hard she nearly choked. A stranger passed by and did a double take. "You really here?" Naomi nodded slowly. The woman smiled. "My daughter watches your speeches. She thinks you are magic." That night, Naomi slept better than she had in months. Not because her problem disappeared, but because she remembered why she started. It wasn't just about White House. It was about waking up little girls who thought the sky belonged to them too. Fueled by that clarity, Naomi reshuffled her campaign, cleaned house, restructured funding, and publicly apologized for every missteps without excuses. She invited Sasha to her campaign headquarters with a single olive branch, a voicemail saying, "I'm sorry for vanishing when you needed me most. I was trying to save the world, and I forgot to save my sister. If you are willing, come write the next chapter with me." Days passed, no reply, until one morning Naomi walked into her office and found Sasha sitting on the floor, typing on a laptop. "I rewrote your press statement," she said without looking up. "Yours was trash." Naomi burst into tears. They hugged. No grand speeches, just the silent understanding that healing is possible, even in broken systems and bloodlines. The campaign surged like a phoenix in flames. Naomi embraced her flaws, weaponized her humanity, and called out the hypocrisy of politics while still pledging to change it from within. She held a massive rally with the theme "Progress over Perfection," and tens of thousands showed up, some holding signs and read "Naomi for Press," others with homemade shirts that said, "Too ambitious? Good." The media tried to find a new scandal, couldn't. Opponent tried to dig dirt, failed. The voters had already heard it all, and they chose her anyway. But just then, when it looked like nothing could stop her from becoming the first black female president of the United States, something happened, something so bizarre, terrifying, and life-altering. It made all the past drama look like high school gossips. It began on a Wednesday morning, the kind that looked normal until it wasn't. Naomi had just finished her sunrise jog around the National Mall, earbuds in, blasting Beyonce's "I Was Here," sweet glittering like effort turned into hope. When her phone rang, it wasn't her campaign manager, her sister, or the countless press vultures circling her career. It was an unknown number, against better judgment. She picked up. The voice on the other end was hoarse, low, and cold like a rusted gate creaking open after years. "You need to drop out of the race, Miss Washington," the man said. No hello, no threat, just eerie certainty. "You are not ready for what happens if you win." Naomi paused, mid-stride, heart thudding. "Who is this?" The call ended. No ID, no trace. That night, her apartment was broken into. Nothing was stolen, but her campaign laptop was turned on, and the post on its note was stuck to the screen. President are chosen, not elected. She didn't sleep. She sat in her kitchen, coffee untouched, staring at the ceiling, as the weight of invisible power threatened to crush everything she had ever believed in. At first, she thought it was paranoia. Sure, she was imagining the black SUV that idled near her apartment every night. Surely, the man who followed her from the bookstore to her car was just a lost tourist. But then she noticed her emails were delayed by seconds. Her Wi-Fi flickered during campaign Zoom, and her best friend and communication director, Latoya, received a job offer from a fake media company that turned out to be a front for intelligence firm. The walls weren't just closing in, they were listening. Naomi reached out to journalists who she trusted, a Pulitzer Prize winner named Jacques Delaney, who had once exposed a $1 billion lobbying scandal with nothing but a notebook and a burner phone. They met in the back room of a used record store, surrounded by vines and cigarette smoke. Jax leaned forward, serious as death. "You've poked the haves, Naomi," he said, "and it's not just politics. It's legacy, dynasties, backroom boys, club that fund wars and rewrite laws. They don't want a girl from Southside Chicago stepping on their antique rugs." Naomi didn't fling. "They will burn the rugs." The story broke 5 days later. Jax published a bombshell expose connecting Naomi's main opponent, Harlem, to a covert funding ring involving private prisons, pharmaceutical price fixing, and a golf club for retired war profiteers. The headline read, "Behind the Curtain, the Men Who Fear Naomi Washington." The internet exploded. Hashtags and so on. Harlan denied everything, of course, but public trust shifted like sand under a tide. Naomi poll numbers surged, but so did the danger. Jax was assaulted 2 nights after publication, beaten unconscious in his home office. Naomi visited him in the office and hospital. He had 3 broken ribs and a smile. "That means we are winning," he whispered, before coughing blood. Naomi felt the world spin. Was she ready for this kind of war? This wasn't just about presidency anymore. This was survival, a taste of how far her conviction could stretch without snapping. Because now, she wasn't just running for office, she was running against a system older than democracy itself. While America watched Naomi rise like a phoenix with fireproof wings, Naomi herself was battling a storm no one else could see. Her panic attack returned. At night, she'd wake gasping, clawing at phantom shadows. During rallies, her hand trembled behind the podium. She tried meditation, therapy, long drives with no destination. Sasha noticed. "You can't keep pretending this doesn't scare you," her sister said. One night as they sat on the roof of campaign headquarters, legs dangling, city lights blinking below like Morse code. "I'm terrified every minute," Naomi admitted. "But I can't stop. If I stop, they win." Sasha leaned over and gently touched her hand. "Then, let's be scared together." It was the kind of sentence that felt like a prayer. That week, Sasha officially joined the campaign, handling grassroots donation, designing posters, even filming behind-the-scenes clips that showed Naomi brushing her teeth or burning rice. It was real. It was mercy. It was honesty. Voters loved it. Naomi wasn't a politician. She was a human, and that was her superpower. But the universe wasn't done throwing plot twists. On the eve of the national debate, the one that would likely determine the next nominee for president, a video surfaced. Naomi, aged 19, sitting in a dorm room, wine coolers in hand, laughing with friends. In the clip, she said jokingly, "If I ever run for presidency, please, someone slap me. I don't want that kind of headache." The media erupted. "Naomi Washington hates the presidency," screamed one outlet. Another one ran with video surface of Naomi mocking the Oval Office. It didn't matter what she was a teenager, that she was clearly joking. People needed narratives. Her enemies found a foothold. Is she too immature? Is she mocking the office she seeks? Donors panicked. Press called exploded. Even her grandmother called. "Did you really say that, baby?" Naomi sighed. "Yes, Grandma, but I also said I wanted to make the world fairer for kids who look like me. Why doesn't that go viral?" Her grandmother laughed. "Because truth aren't clickbait. Sugar, but don't you worry, you're still my president." That night, Naomi held a live broadcast. No script, no makeup, just her. "Yes, I said that. I was 19, and yes, I still think this job is headache, but it's the kind of headache worth having. I'm not perfect. I'm just determined." Watch out for part 3. Thank you.